Hello friends, Katie here from Salvaged by K. Scott with another furniture makeover. Today I'm going to be having fun and getting my hands messy trying to create an aged or weathered oak finish on this hope chest that looks and feels like wood but just uses paint. If you have a tired, worn out piece of furniture that needs a new lease on life, you prefer a wood finish over paint, but you don't have the time or tools to be completely stripping and restaining a piece, this might be the finish you need. This chest is completely homemade with 1/4-inch plywood, and I'm just not a fan of the look of stained plywood like this, or of this color for that matter. So I'm going to refinish it with some paint and stain products that you can get at the hardware store to give it a very different stained wood look. The first thing I need to do is clean everything. I've got a bit of TSP alternative mixed with water in this spray bottle. This is a heavy duty degreaser that's gonna cut through any old furniture polish residue, dirt, or general grime that's on the surface and might interfere with my paint. I'm gonna pull these knobs off too. I haven't decided yet if I want to reuse them. They don't really match with the fancy lock plate, so I'll probably figure out something else to use on this drawer. Next, I need to sand. Now, I'm not sanding to remove all of this finish like I would normally be doing if I was going to restain this. All I really need to do here is scuff up the shiny finish that's on here and create a fine texture in it for my paint to grip onto. I am definitely going to sand a little bit further in a few spots on here though, just because this particular piece is in pretty rough shape and I want to buff out some of the bigger scratches and dents. Okay, this is where I am after sanding. I did a little bit more than I was initially planning on, but here we are. There's still some texture on the top here, but I think that's probably going to work in my favor with the aged or weathered oak look that I want to put on here. I'm just going to wipe up all of the sanding dust with my damp rag and then I can get to paint. This little sample size paint jar is a custom mix of fusion mineral paint colors that I came up with the last time I did a finish like this. I actually tried to match it to the Behr maple color here on my workbench. It's comparable to Benjamin Moore's CC304, Sherwin-Williams Woven Wicker, or Behr's Summerwood. I just ask any of those stores to mix it in an eggshell or satin sheen in whatever paint they recommend for furniture or cabinetry. So I'm choosing to skip primer on this because I've sanded it thoroughly enough and I'm using a high bonding paint. Fusion sticks to pretty much everything. And I'm also not really worried about wood tannin stains bleeding up through my new finish because the finish that I'm going to be creating on here is going to have a lot of color variation in it anyways. But if you're working on something that you do need to prime for extra adhesion or bleed through, go right ahead. I'm brushing this on with my Zibra Palm Pro, getting it on there and then going back and smoothing out all of the brush strokes in the direction that I want the wood grain to go. I let that dry for about an hour and now I'm going to do my second coat with a little bit of a twist. I've got my mister bottle here because I want to stretch my paint out a little more and keep it wet for a bit longer so that I can work with it. I'm going to lightly mist the surface and then brush on a thin coat of my wood color. Then I'm going to grab this wood graining tool and drag it through the wet paint. This is going to create a really subtle wood grain texture on the surface. And when I come back with my next layer, I think it's really going to help push that wood look over the top. Because of the water that I've added to this paint, I've got a little bit more time to play around with this too. So if I drag the graining tool through and I don't like the way it looks, I can just brush it back out and go again. I also like to use the sides on here. One side has these wide teeth and the other has the finer comb. I think it looks the most like real wood grain if you go through with the edges of the comb and then rock the main grain through and just keep striping that pattern across your surface. Now that my textured base is good and dry, I'm going to start staining and bringing this to life. I have this water-based wood stain from Behr in the color Special Walnut, which is a really cool tone brown. I'm going to brush it on with a really cheap, wiry chip brush to help me add even more brush strokes in here. And the same strategy, get it on and then smooth it out in the direction that I'm creating my grain. Then I have this big fluffy brush that I'm going to drag through on top to soften and blend it. This stain also has a good bit of open time to work with it before it starts to dry down, so you can just keep playing with it until it looks the way you like. I even went through in a few kind of random spots with the side of the brush in this flogging motion to blur those lines even more and mimic the look of wood pores, and then brushed through it again to kind of blend it into the area around it. This really helps create those color variations between light and dark that real wood has without having to do any extra layers of paint or stain. Once I'd worked my way around the whole chest, I left the stain to dry for about 2 hours, and now I'm going to stir up some of Behr's water-based polyurethane in matte to give my new finish a little bit of extra protection. Again, because brush strokes aren't an issue here with this finish, I'm opting just to brush it on, but I am going to choose one of Zibra's top coating brushes. This brush line that they've created specifically for top coats really holds the perfect amount of product to help you get it on and smooth it out quickly. So if you do have to brush a top coat on any finish, this is the kind of brush you want to use. Now, I can't leave this nasty orange plywood on the inside of my new box, so I'm going to quickly roll on 2 coats of Fusion's color Hazelwood to make this look more polished and complete. And then I guess I need to decide what I'm doing with the hardware for this thing. really love the lacy look of this keyhole cover, and I think these drop pulls from Lee Valley go with that kind of feminine look. So I'm just going to use a little bit of Rub and Buff to match the escutcheon plate to the pulls better. The last thing I'm going to do is rub some beeswax on the wood runners and on the bottom of the drawer to help everything slide a little easier. I've done a few of these wood look tutorials here on my channel now, and they're all a little bit different. It's such a fun way to just play around and see what you can come up with. There's definitely nothing new or revolutionary about creating a faux wood finish like this. People have been doing it literally forever, but Shannon over at Black Sheep House, also here on YouTube, has a ton of great videos on her versions of this look as well. I'll leave a few more of my versions here for you to watch next if you want. Make sure that you are subscribed for tons more furniture makeover inspiration, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching today, and I will catch you all next time.